Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to GameKheyl. My name is Naveed, aka Barely Average Gaming, and today we have ourselves another elite guest of the UFC 4 community. This man is a streamer. He has tendency to ruffle a few feathers. We'll get into that a bit later, but he is one of the fastest growing streamers out there right now. And we have ourselves Mr. Jay MMA. Sir, how are we doing today?
Man, I'm doing fantastic, and it's just a pleasure to be here.
So the pleasure is all ours. We have been having a little bit of a back and forth when it comes to setting this up. I'm glad that we were able to get this done together. Apologies on my end for having a bit of a delay, but looks like everything is set and we have a great interview ahead of us. So right at the start, first and foremost, I think the congratulations are in order. You got yourselves a sponsor pretty early in your streaming career. If you want to talk a little bit about that.
Honestly, it's pretty crazy because I did like I got like some crazy momentum from Marshall, and then like it was like kind of a hurricane scare because I live in Louisiana, so it's like a hurricane scare. So I had to leave. So my setup, everything I couldn't even use it, right? So I was just like so worried about everything. Then I come back to like a DM and it's like sponsor. I'm like, wait, what? Like what? Because I was like, bro, I was so worried about like losing like the momentum I was gaining and everything because I was going for like a good week and a half. Then I come back to a sponsor. I was like, okay, I'll take it because I wasn't even expecting to get a sponsor to like 10K or like something crazy like that. But to have one, and I just hit 600. So for me to even get that sponsored, it's just crazy, crazy, man. Shout out to Killer Drink. Yeah.
All right. I think well-deserved shout out for your sponsor there. For everyone else who is watching this, again, Jay streams very frequently. He uploads a lot of videos as well. And one of the best things that I like about your content is the fact that you support everyone out there. I've seen you repost, retweet a lot of different streamers, including us at GameKheyl. So really appreciate you doing that for the community. As far as your own interest and your own background, I believe you've been a player of UFC for a while. You've started posting a lot of content recently, like you've mentioned. You're relatively new, but you're growing really, really fast with a very, very fastly growing community and people who want to follow your content for all the right and wrong reasons. But at the same time, it has to start somewhere. There must have been a starting point where you felt that you have to do this. And the journey since then has been great. And looks like you have a lot of great things coming up as well. So just going back to your own journey, if you were to let us know how it all started, what was the genesis of Jay MMA?
So I've been playing UFC since UFC 2, but like the very first time I was like, all right, I want to make content. I'll never forget this. MartialMind, he was doing like a challenge. I think the video is still on my channel. I don't even think I deleted the video, but he was like doing like whoever has like the best comeback, post it on YouTube, send it to me or whatever. So I was like, no, okay, I got a few videos. I'll post it. This is like in the UFC 3, UFC 4 is about to come out around that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, man, that video was fun. So UFC 4 comes out, right? And I'm like, I might as well just post a video. So at the time, I didn't even have like a PC, a camera. I didn't have anything. I had my school laptop that I had in college that I still actually have. It was a MacBook, like a super old MacBook, super old. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just make a video. So I got my phone and I used remote play. So I didn't even have a capture card, which is funny. So I was screen recording the gameplay, and then I would airdrop it to my MacBook, and then that's how I was doing videos. And then I stopped for a while because I was like, man, I don't think I could do this. And then I came back around like February, March, and I was like, man, you know what? I'm gonna just start doing it. So from March to like April, I was like the 30 days in a row, like a whole month, I'm gonna just upload. If it's a double upload, triple upload, one video, I don't care. I'm uploading every single day for a month. And then I started doing that. And then I kind of like, I saw sparks of it. It wasn't like I went from this to 100. Nah, it was a slow growth, but I saw it. And then it was like, hold on, man, I'm actually good at this. You know, I'm actually good. So that's how it really all started. And then You know, then that's when I got introduced to the community and everything. Cause I was pretty much, I was just uploading videos. I didn't know about ESFL. I didn't know about, well, the only three people I actually knew about that were active was Pryoxis, Cody Dink, and Marshall. But as far as like the ESFL and like GOAT and the Crooks, I didn't know anyone. I just know those three. And then I was just uploading content. So that's pretty cool.
All right. I think one of the things that you've mentioned is posting a video daily, or maybe 2 or 3 videos daily. For a lot of creators out there, that is insane amount of content to put out there. And the fact that you have that kind of expectation with yourselves. So has it ever been very, very taxing on you on as to how you were able to create that much content, or you think you have enough content in the back that you can edit out and you can post on a daily basis? What's your approach to it?
So that's honestly a good question. So when I first started, I'm not gonna lie, when I first did it in March, it was very taxing because I just it was my first time ever doing something like that. So I don't think I knew how to handle it. But now I would sit here literally Friday was my first day like getting like actual sleep. Like I actually got like 3 hours of over 3 hours of sleep. So I will sit here. Well, it's like 1:22 my time right now. I will sit here for about 6 hours and record just videos. I don't care if it's a I'll record a Wonder Boy video or reaction, something, just something. I will sit here and record. And then I'll go back, I'll edit the video and I'll actually save it so I can have like uploads for the week. I think I manage better that way. But back then I was doing the video the same day I will upload it. And I actually wanted to quit, which is crazy because it was like mentally I couldn't handle it because it was my first time. But now it's a piece of cake now, honestly. It's a cakewalk.
No, I think one of the things, like you mentioned, is the fact that once you start doing things more continually, more consistently, you start becoming efficient in the process. Sometimes something takes you a few hours. Once you start doing it more frequently, it takes a few minutes. I think I have to share this as well. With GameKheyl interviews, I remember the first time I did an interview, it took me 5 days to get that interview completely ready, edit certain parts out, put in a lot of animation. So when you look at GameKheyl, it doesn't have like a very fancy interface. Maybe you'll get to that perhaps in the future. But for me, it took me quite a bit to understand how the entire infrastructure or whatever, entire background working, everything, the process of posting a video, how much time it took. And now it's becoming more easier, it's becoming more frequent. So I completely agree with the fact, like you mentioned, that repetition helps a lot. And also the fact that someone like you, consistency is the key. You're going to have bad days, you're going to have difficult days. So what keeps you at a state of mind where you are able to consistently produce content day in and day out? If you'd like to shed some light on that.
It's just me wanting to, be great. That's really what it comes down to. I'm very prideful. I wouldn't say I have a big ego, but it's like I'm confident in myself. So it's like if I'm doing something, if I want to do it, I'm going 100% in. And a lot of people don't know this. I work a job and I'm in college full time, and I still find time to upload every day, stream twice a day, make content, and do everything. So I want to do this, and some people, and it's kind of crazy. Some people are driven, like super driven by money. I'm not one of those people. I'm really not driven by money. Listen, I didn't grow up. I didn't grow up poor. I'm gonna be honest with you. I did. I'm not one of those dudes to be like, yeah, bro, I was in a struggle. I didn't grow up in a struggle. I didn't. I grew up in a middle class home. I had a nice home. My parents grew up in a struggle, but they worked towards me not having to grow up in an environment they grew up in. You know what I mean? So I want to do that, but I want to do even better. I want to leave a legacy behind. I want people to say, when it's my time, what did he do from the day he was born to the day to that day? What did he do? And that's all it is. It's just me wanting to be great. That's all it is.
Yeah, I think one of the things you mentioned there is the fact that a lot of people misunderstand privilege as a birthright. So for instance, if there was someone else in this position, they'd be content and fine with what they have. But what sets apart great people from good people is the fact that they're going to use that privilege and going to elevate themselves even further. And that's how it works. And also, another thing that I really appreciate, considering now that you've mentioned it, is the fact that people with privilege not only just elevate themselves, but they also like to pull people up and bring them to that standard as well. So that's actually a very healthy mindset to be in. And the fact that you're very refreshingly honest about it is very good to see. Speaking of big egos, like you've mentioned, UFC community is full of them. There's one person after another, everyone with their own preconceived notions about what's right, what's wrong, what's the best style to play. If this is meta, meta is fine, meta is not fine. There are endless debates on everything that is possible. Even the way you look, the way a person plays, everything is up for a debate. So the community itself is at a point where it can be a very influential one, considering the fact that it's a sports emulator. When you talk about sports emulator, you have the 2Ks, you have the FIFAs, you have Madden NFL, you have all those games out there. But the UFC community somehow is still not getting recognition that it deserves, primarily because of two things. The fact that EA is perhaps not as invested as in the other games. And secondly, the community itself, and that it's not being very approachable to the mainstream audience. So what is it that you feel about the community that needs fixing? At the same time, your thoughts in general about the community.
Okay, so I was talking to someone about this the other day, and they asked me something along the lines of that question. Everything starts with the base, and the base being the community, and then the house or the whatever the structure that's on top of that base would be, you know, UFC 4, the EA UFC games. So without that base, the game itself can't grow. And right now, we don't have a base. I'm gonna be completely honest. The way I feel about the community right now, it's too many egos. It's too many, I won't say bravados. It's a certain hierarchy, right? So it's people who are close with the devs, they're in ESFL, they're this, they're that. And then it's, you know, everyone else. And I feel like it's so many, you know, bravados going on that we can't just sit down and talk. It's never going to happen. Someone said on Twitter, can we sit down with a roundtable and just talk? I was like, no, it's never going to happen, because these people are set on something. These people are set on something. It's never going to be, let's agree to disagree. Let's sit down and talk. It's never like that. I'm going to give you an example. Shout out to King Juice, Pressy, Dive, the guys I do the ESBC roundtable with. At the time when I first started it, right, Juice he had like 1.4K, something like that. I just hit 100. Pressy just started his channel, and then Dot had like 50 subs, right? So let's just say Juice was in the UFC 4 community, right? And I could be completely wrong. Some people in the UFC 4 community could be like, oh no, that's not how we do it. This is how I project it and how I see it, right? So if Juice was a predominant name in the UFC 4 community, and I hit him up, which I did hit him up, he would have been like, who's this dude? You know, I'm this guy. He got 100 subs. He's talking about collabing with a dude with no subscribers and another dude with just as half amount as you.
Yeah.
But Juice, he didn't do that. He was like, I like all y'all vibes. Let's collab. I don't feel like that there's that type of structure, that type of, you know, collaboration. It's very few. Now, don't get me wrong. There is some of that in the community, but it's very slim. And I feel like a lot of people, the game isn't gonna grow. I promise you, the esports scene will not grow unless the community grows together. Listen, this is the only MMA game we're probably gonna have. We have to face reality. No one else is gonna make an MMA game like not as popular, but with enough funds as EA. So it's not gonna happen, right? We just have to come to some sort of agreement that we all just want the community to grow. Because I want the community to grow. You know what I'm saying? Listen, as much as I dislike a lot of these guys, these dudes are talented at what they do. So I do want their skills to be showcased on a higher platform, you know? So we just have to, you know, just come to some sort of something just to like, all right, we might dislike each other, but, you know, we all have one common goal, and that's getting the game off the ground and getting the game to where it gets the recognition that it needs to be.
Well, I think that was another very refreshing thing that you mentioned. The fact that this is actually the first time someone has actually mentioned this as a case. And this is something that I've also felt that there's a huge disconnect between the big time streamers, the top level gamers, and the casuals. Because if you don't have that kind of support system and you put yourself at a higher echelon and not make yourself approachable to all of the rest of the community, you are going to create that distance. You're going to create that vacuum. And a lot of people who can transition from being casuals into being someone who is interested. Because if you see the difference from UFC 3 to UFC 4, the streaming numbers have dropped significantly. Like I remember when you would tune up on UFC 3, you would see around 2,000 or 3,000 viewers at a single time on Twitch, which has dropped down to sometimes up to 65 or 35 viewers at a time, which is insanely bad. Because I think a lot of people may have given up on the game, but I don't think that's really an excuse, because there are enough cases out there of people who would play this game casually just once or twice, who would put this game up on stream and they would bring in like a few thousand followers with them. So maybe it's the fact that there's a disconnect between the elite gamers or them thinking of themselves as untouchable. But at the same time, that's very detrimental for the community as a whole, because we all want this community to grow. I've been a part of this community for a few years, perhaps not at the elite level. And considering the fact that I'm not an elite gamer myself, and I've personally felt that distance between myself and those gamers, that is very disheartening, for the lack of a better term. So perhaps this is something that the community has to come to terms with. The fact that you have the bravados of Conor McGregor, and these days you have like your Jake Pauls and everyone trying to showboat and having those big egos. The fact is you're not making that kind of money. It's not really worth the investment into having those personas, because it's just a video game at the end of the day. You have to realize that if this community grows, if the people here help each other out, we are going to create opportunities for one another. We are going to create and break boundaries for one another. So I think that's one thing that had to be spelled out, and I really appreciate you saying that. So my rant is over. Your has to begin. And why is that? Is because now we are going to come down to those personalities that you have those disagreements with. So why is that? I mean, is it the fact that you do not mince your words? The fact that you like to say things the way you see them? Or the fact that the community itself is not very receptive to different kinds of feedback? What do you think it boils down to?
I think it boils down to me being honest. I'm not gonna say they don't like honesty. I don't think they've come across someone like me that's just like so straightforward. Listen, we can be the best of friends. One of my best friends right now, shout out to Monk. One of my best friends right now. If he does something that I don't like, I'll tell him. And the same with him. If he don't like something I do, he'll tell me. That's how I approach this. I call it how I see it. If you do something, what we call it foo-foo, you do something crazy, I'm gonna call you out on it. Perfect example. Listen, I have a lot of examples. I'm sorry if I'm giving all of these again. Perfect example. All the time in the world, bro. Perfect example, right? So I had this guy that I knew, and he sent me a clip. He was like, "Yeah, I knocked out this guy." But he was like, I want to make a funny clip because he fake glove touched me. So I was like, I'll do it. I want to say I'm pretty good at editing, but I can make a funny enough clip. So I was like, send me the clip. Then I see the username, and it's a guy from CW. Everybody know who he is. I ain't gonna say the dude's name because I don't give him that platform. But yeah, like I was like, okay, I'll make the clip. I made the clip for him. He was like, bro, I don't want to post it. I was like, I post it? You ain't say nothing. I post it. I added them too. I was like, at such and such, stop fake glove touching, right? So to do fake glove touches, I'm assuming it's banter. I see, everybody else doing banter. They're making jokes with people. I'm like, I'm going to make a joke too. I post it. They start talking about my channel, start messing, talking crazy. And I'm like, whoa, where else this come from? I'm just joking, like y'all joke. And then it's crazy enough, like very crazy. I don't mean harm. I don't mean harm. I'm not one to listen. We can stoop low. Don't get it twisted. If you want to stoop low, I promise you, I'm gonna go lower than you. Promise you that. But I'm not that guy anymore. I'm changed since I've started this YouTube thing. I'm not that guy anymore. But still, I'm probably never, ever gonna stoop that low to talk about someone's hard work because we're all working towards the same thing. I'm never going to talk about somebody's channel, never going to talk about anybody's parents, things like that sort of thing, the untouchable stuff. So for people to do that off of a joke is insane to me. It's really like it's crazy. And like I said, I don't think they're used to someone being so straightforward. They take it as they take it personally. And it's not, you're not taking, I'm just being straightforward with you. If I see something that you do that's particularly not, you know, quote unquote real, I'm gonna call you out on it. It's no disrespect. It's just, I don't like that. That's like some fake stuff to me. You know what I mean? So that's all I have to say on that subject.
Yeah, I think it's a double-edged sword when you're talking about honesty, because for a lot of people, they don't need it. And for a lot of people, they don't deserve it. So you kind of have to understand the fact that wherever there is receptiveness to the feedback, and perhaps for a lot of people, it requires a little bit of mindfulness. You have to filter out exactly what's out there for you that is making sense. Because a lot of times when I receive feedback for this channel, sometimes it's very decent, sometimes it's unwarranted, at least in my opinion. So I try to see exactly what is it that this person dislikes about the channel, and I see whether it's in my power or not to fix it or not. So perhaps if someone is listening to you and is not liking the way you're telling them something, what they can at least do is figure out what's exactly out there that's that's instigating or creating that reaction from your end. So maybe that's the key takeaway for them. But again, it requires a lot of mindfulness. Perhaps the community is not at a place right now where it necessarily has that kind of mindfulness, but hopefully that's what we are all striving towards. And the fact that a lot of people that play this game, again, I think this is one very beautiful thing about the UFC community, with all of its faults and defects, that is. The fact that it's very diverse. We have people from different socioeconomic backgrounds. I'm sitting all the way here in Pakistan and you all halfway across the world, and we are having this conversation about the game. So there's a lot of things that are in common when you talk about this particular theme. But at the same time, it will require a lot of effort. When you talk about multiculturalism, when you talk about different languages, there will be barriers, there will be issues, there will be, quote unquote, a bit of racism in the mix. So a little bit of mindfulness is going to help us a lot in this. And another thing that the community is very mindful of, in fact, everyone is very excited about, is the upcoming ESBC. I believe everyone who's a combat esports fan has been craving for a boxing game for a very long time. We have not had a game in over a decade since the Fight Night Champions. And now ESBC is pulling out some of the best names in the world week in, week out. We do have our skepticism when it comes to when the game's going to release, because there is no release date so far. But you, considering yourself as one of the people who talks about the game very frequently, I would just want to gather your thoughts, a bit of a summary of what you feel about this game coming up.
So I've been following the game pretty closely for about half a year now. I'm really excited for the game because I've been waiting, not just for a boxing game, for just a simulation, pure simulation combat sports game, not a mix of arcade and simulation, not a straight up arcade, 100% pure simulation. And, you know, the game is looking good so far. I do have my criticisms, which I've, you know, said publicly many of times, but it's constructive. And honestly, they've taken it, the criticism pretty well. It's almost like they want us to criticize the game in a sense, which is crazy. Yeah. But I'm very excited. The community, oh man, yeah, I can sit here all day and just shout out so many people from that community. Man, the community is just, if you compare that community to the UFC 4 community, it's like apples to oranges. It's two different communities. Everybody, while we may have different opinions, the main thing is we can agree to disagree. So shout out to everybody in the community, man. The community has accepted me in well, so I appreciate that. But the game itself, they've gotten A-list names. They've gotten the Canelos, they've gotten the Alis, they've gotten the Sugar Ray Leonards, they've gotten huge names, Terrence Crawford. They've gotten these huge names that, unfortunately, Fight Night Champion probably would have never have got. You know, yeah. Fight Night Champion had a few good names. I think the biggest name they had was probably Tyson and Pacquiao. It's probably the two biggest names out of that whole game. But they had Fury, one of the most known boxers right now, Canelo, the biggest boxer right now, Terrence Crawford. You know, all these guys are very well known, and you know the roster is continuously starting to, you know, it's starting to pick up. And I know a lot of people, they're like, you know, when is it coming out? When is this? When is that? Listen, SCI, the development company for ESBC Steel City Interactive, they want perfection with the game, and I have to respect that, because you know they want the game to be perfect, but people have to understand we don't want a case of cyberpunk. We don't want a case of they rushed the game and then it's not what we like, and now it's even more scrutiny behind the game, because there's already a lot of scrutiny behind it. Agreed. So we don't want even more scrutiny. So they want to get the game to a point where it's releasable, to where it's enjoyable. Obviously, there's going to have some complaints. There's going to be some glitches, some exploits. Yeah, that's every game. But I'm confident that they can get to a point where it's releasable, where everybody can enjoy it. I know some people in the UFC 4 community really don't take too well to the game, which I kind of don't understand. But you know, that's a whole nother topic. That's a whole nother topic. But I'm very proud. Yeah, I'm very proud of how far, you know, the game has come, because if you look at some of the earlier trailers, they were good, but they're not to the extent of how they are now. They've been backed by the major organizations in boxing. They have so much stuff going for them, man. I literally cannot wait for, like, like thinking about this, man. I'm salivating. Like, I can't wait for this game. And yeah, man, just shout out to everybody on that development team. Keep doing what y'all doing. And cool, man. It's gonna be fun, because a lot of people are gonna grow their channels from this game. Like a lot of people, and I can't wait to see the growth. And I just can't wait for the game to come out.
Agreed. And I believe a lot of people, well, I think one of the things that you mentioned is a bit of a surprise to me, that there are people who have their issues with the game. I hope their grievances are well taken care of, because the way Steel City Interactive has been accommodating feedback from a lot of different players, it has been exceptional. And maybe they're going to set the standard for combat esports games. Maybe EA, after seeing a more competitive landscape, may come up with a game like that. And another thing that we've heard recently is the fact that even ONE FC themselves are looking to create a video game. So if that comes out, I think we're going to be in for a treat. We're going to have multiple options. And once you have that kind of competition rolling out, it's only going to make things better for us combat esports fans. And you've given a few shout outs in the previous section. I think we have to provide you the platform to do it very freely. If you have any shout outs for anyone in the community of the UFC for the ESBC, if you want to name out a few names, giving them some spotlight that they deserve.
Obviously, first and foremost, shout out to the guys that I do the ESBC roundtable with. It's become very popular in the community. I didn't expect it, you know, to get this kind of attention and interest, but shout out to TMA Pressy, you know, S. V. He Hot, you know, obviously King Juice. I just want to tell a small story. It's probably gonna be like 30 seconds. But coming back from off of that break that I had with it, with everything going on, I was getting into a lot of arguments, on like a lot of back and forth on Twitter, with people like Zayev, Swiss Liebacks, Swiss Liebacks, and a bunch of guys from the community. And I'm not gonna air out everything that was talked about, but they gave me pretty much an intervention, you know. And I took one thing that they all, you know, kind of agreed on was something that Pressy said. Well, they didn't agree on it. It's just like this thing that he said resonated with me. Like, it still resonates with me so much. He said, "You're always gonna come across guys like that," you know. So he asked me a question. He was like, You got that guy out the way, so you finish arguing with him. What if another one comes along? You're going to do the same thing because your channel's growing, we're all growing. Are you going to continuously keep arguing with people about nonsense? And I look back, and then I stepped back, and then I was like, you know, he's 100% right. Well, what is the point of me arguing with someone that I see no into it? There's never going to be, okay, I agree with you. It's never going to be that. It's never, you know, it's never going to be something like that. And I told him, I was like, man, every time I just see disrespect, you know, I just black out. He was like, he's in his UK accent. He's like, bruv, you can't think like that. Yeah, I'm sorry, Pressy. I joke with him with that UK accent, but he's like, you can't think like that, And I was like, he's right. Then Juice comes, he piggybacks off that. He's like, there's a block button for a reason. I was like, damn, he's right too. Then Esda says something. I'm like, damn, all y'all are right. What? And then I literally, I looked at myself in the mirror. I was like, even though those guys, they disagree with me or whatever, now I have a name. I have a brand. I'm honestly, people associate me with them now. Honestly, because of the whole roundtable thing in the ESBC community. So when they see me going off on Twitter, it's not just me anymore. It's my brand, it's those guys, and it's a plethora of other people. So I had to tell myself, now I can't be doing this stuff anymore. So now I'm just I'm chilling out. Now you can go on Twitter right now. I don't even I don't entertain it. Somebody gets on that energy with me, I don't go back and do the same thing, because I had a problem with doing that, and it's more of a maturity thing, because I'm young, I'm not even 21 yet, but it's kind of a maturity thing that I think I'm gonna grow out of eventually. But honestly, I haven't been getting into anything of sort of that nature. But shout out to those guys. I'm sorry I had to ramp off, but shout out to those guys. Cody D.A.R.K, man, big inspiration for me doing this thing. He actually has his own jiu-jitsu gym, MMA gym, so shout out to him. Obviously, Prioxis. Prioxis, man. Honestly, probably I wouldn't say without pride, but he's honestly been so helpful with the channel and everything. There was a point that we talked about earlier when I was kind of mentally drained from uploading. I wanted to quit. I really wanted to quit. And I hit up Prioxis. This was my first interaction with him ever. But I met him through Cody, because Cody knew him, and I wanted to quit YouTube and things. And he gave me some valuable, advice. And I was like, dang, he responded, to me, because I only had 25 subscribers at the time I talked to him. I was like, damn, he talked to me. He took time out of his day to give me some very detailed advice. So that kind of motivated me, and it still motivates me. And obviously, I won't say the last one, but the most important one would probably be, not the most important, I don't know, I don't want to say that, but probably the biggest inspiration will probably be MartialMind. So I've been watching him since high school. And to get to a point where he actually reacted to one of my videos, honestly, it's still pretty crazy. It's not the fact that I'm starstruck. I'm just kind of still in awe at the fact that he actually, gave me, the time of day on his channel, which is crazy. And, I can't thank him enough for that, because honestly, without him, I probably wouldn't be on the momentum streak I'm on. I still would have, been gaining subs and things like that, but it's been a rapid, growth. I've just been steadily going up rapidly fast. So I have to credit him, for that. And just Crooks 209 as well. Shout out to my guy Crooks, Dave, and just, all my subs, all my supporters, man. I just thank everybody, bro, because, without them, I don't think I'd be able to keep going, and, these guys continuously encouraging me, giving me words of support, man. It means a lot for some dudes that I've never, met in real life, which is crazy to me. I've never met these guys in real life. We've only talked virtually, on webcam apps like Zoom, things like that. We've never interacted in real life, and for us to have this connection to where they can give me, support, they can call me out on the things I'm doing on Twitter with the arguments, holding me accountable, things like that, man. It's just I'm appreciative of it, and it's honestly it's crazy, man. But shout out to all the guys I named, man. I just appreciate y'all.
All right, I think one of the things you mentioned in there is the fact that there can be a lot of burnout when you engage with the community that we have. When you put on content consistently and very frequently, there are chances that a person can get a burnout. And there's this one thing that has struck to me when I was watching what's his name? Yeah, Michael Bisping on Joe Rogan's podcast. And there's this one thing that Jason Perillo said to Bisping before his matchup against Luke Rockhold for the belt, because he was actually doing a movie, and about 2 weeks before the fight was supposed to happen between Luke Rockhold and his opponent, the opponent had to back out, and Bisping stepped in, and he did not have a training camp. And so he was very underprepared in his own mind, and he just started hitting, he just started doing the gym, getting a few punches in. And Jason Derulo wanted to get those doubts out of his head. And he said something to Bisping that has stuck by him. And he said that it takes confidence to take a break. Because all his life, he's always been over-preparing himself for situations and burning himself out. So he has been in those situations, which a lot of streamers, a lot of individuals in life find themselves in. So perhaps having that refreshed perspective, having the right support system, like in your case, you mentioned people like TMI Pressy and also King Juice. So having that kind of support system goes a very long way in becoming a good streamer. And as for the big names in the community, the people who have that platform, it's very important to create those platforms. And at the same time, for the people who are looking to grow themselves, it's very important to gravitate towards them and try to get the advice. Because, for instance, if you did not message Prioxis personally, he may not have responded to you at all. Or perhaps you not approaching individuals like you mentioned in the ESBC roundtable. If you did not approach them, perhaps those opportunities would not have happened to you. So it only works out for those. Like, I think if I have to summarize all of this, I think the one thing that stands out is fortune favors the brave. You have to take risks. You have to take opportunities. You have to make yourself ready for those opportunities to come your way. So, like, I think one of the things that we've heard, and I think I have to announce this as well, is the fact that we've started this new series on GameKheyl. You're going to see Mr. Ruthless Omni doing a few sit downs with some of the best gamers in the world, having those gaming sessions in, and they're going to have conversations in the session that we like to call Game Gupshup. So you're going to see a lot of things happening on that. And I think we tried to set up that between you and Omni. It didn't work out. But when I was listening to it, I think one of the things that stood out for me is something happened that absolutely escalated your growth from, let's say, 400 subscribers to 700 or 800. So something happened there. If you could shed some light on that, what happened exactly?
Okay, so this is pretty crazy. Like I said, Marshall. So I posted a John Jones video. I was like, I have the best sim John Jones, which I still think I do. You know, many people. I'm probably in the minority. It's 99% people think I'm, full of BS, but I posted that video, right? So I'm just, going about my day, making content. My friend who doesn't even play UFC 4, doesn't own any of the game, but he watches MartialMind. He texts me. He's like, go on MartialMind's page. He shouted you out in all caps. I'm like, what? I'm like, nah, whatever. Then I have my own Discord. So the people are like, Jay, go MartialMind's channel right now. I'm like, all right, I'll go check it. Maybe he was, talking about players and he just shouted me out or something. I go look at the video and my face is in the thumbnail. I'm like, wait, what? Wait, what? And then I actually watched the video. And I'm like, oh crap. He's reacting to the video I just posted today. Like, I had just posted that video 4 hours ago. Then 4 hours later, he uploads a video of him reacting to it, which is pretty crazy. So that reaction happens. I was at 405. The next day I jumped. Well, not that. Yeah, the next day I jumped to 517. I was like, wow. And then I go on that break. So that whole time I'm on that break with the whole hurricane thing, I'm constantly checking my YouTube, because I'm very passionate about it. I'm constantly checking it. By the time I got back home and everything, I was at 635. So I actually gained over 200 subscribers then. And then when I came back that same week, I hit 700. That same week. So 2 weeks. I came back 2 weeks ago and I just hit 700 last Tuesday, something like that. So I'm still growing. I think I just hit 725 yesterday. So, which is crazy. So I'm still growing. It's honestly the growth. I'm not gonna lie, I never expected to grow this fast. I'm not the the best player. I'm not the, top level. I'm not ESFL. I'm not those things. I have IQ about the game. I can play the game. But one thing that separates me from a plethora of other people, and I think some people can take some advice from this.
Yeah.
I'm entertaining. And I think that's key because humans have a short attention span, they do. They have a short attention span. You can't just sit in front of, the screen, play UFC 4 and then just expect I'm going to gain subs because I'm high level. Because high level, that takes you only, so far. And no disrespect to any of the guys in the community, but I think that's why a lot of the guys aren't UFC 4 content creators because they don't have that it factor, that entertaining factor. I don't think many of these guys can sit down and entertain people for as long as I can do, or Prioxis, or MartialMind, or Crooks, those guys, or Cody Thing. Guys like that, they can sit in front of a camera for 3+ some even 6 hours and entertain people and keep a consistent amount of viewers. And that's hard to do. And people tell me all the time, bro, I hate the game. Like I hate the game. I see it in pretty much everybody's stream. I get messages on Twitter about it. Not every day, but every now and again I get this message. They be like, bro, I hate the game, but you're so entertaining. You're so off the wall, bro. Like I had to subscribe, bro. Like you're so off the wall. I like that. Some people actually was liking the negativity I was doing with, like, I was like surprised. Like I was getting, so when that whole thing happened, when I was going back and forth, my DMs were getting flooded. A lot of hate, but most of it was, bro, you actually had the balls to go, because it was 1 versus 20. I had like 20 people coming at me. He was like, bro, you actually had the balls to go up against 20 of those dudes. I've never seen that before. I had to sub. And like people were telling me that. I'm like, wow, like that's crazy. I didn't want that to happen. That wasn't my goal, but like that's honestly crazy. But I try to do my best with everything. Like I said, I know I'm not the best player, but if I can entertain you, I know I ain't no if I can. I know I can entertain you. So that's all it comes down to. And I think that's why I gained. I won't say that's not why I gained, because obviously the Martial shout out had a lot to do with that. But people aren't just going to sub because Martial said so. I think some people, they need to see, okay, is this dude worth the subscription? Even though Martial said it, because that's how I am. You can say go subscribe to this person, but if he doesn't match the type of content that I want to see, I'm not going to sub.
Yeah.
So I think that's what a lot of people did, and for that, I'm grateful for it.
I think one of the things you mentioned again, and also I have to reiterate the fact that one of the biggest reasons why I've started to follow your channel is the fact that Prioxis gave you a shout out in the interview talking about you specifically. The fact that you as a streamer may not be one of the best gamers out there, but at the same time, your stream is something that ties people down and makes sure that if someone comes in, they are going to get hooked and they're going to follow your content. So perhaps the initial stage of getting people out there may be a struggle, but after a while, the thing itself starts to, if you once you start getting the ball rolling, the things start to happen automatically. Like I remember something very specific. So I have this tendency of giving business examples because I currently have that occupation as a corporate trainer. So one of the examples that Pokemon Go, the creator of Pokemon Go said it takes 20 years to have an overnight success. It took them 20 years of effort to create an entire cinematic universe of Pokemon to have that one night of billion-dollar success with Pokemon Go. So perhaps you see the glitz and glamour of a streamer. You do not necessarily see the hard work that the person has put in, the endless hours. Like you said, you have had sleepless nights, you're doing a full-time job, you're also continuing with your academics. So it takes a lot of effort and a lot of grit to get things done. And also another thing that I think needs to be spelled out is the fact that not everyone has the same skill set. Not everyone can be as entertaining. Not everyone can be the best player, but everyone has their own niche. Everyone has their own certain skill sets that they could cash out, that they could utilize. So you don't necessarily have to replicate someone else. You just have to be, you don't have to be the second or third Prioxis. You can just be the first Jay MMA, or you can be the first anyone else. You can be the first GameKheyl, so to say. So find your niche, see what sticks, what doesn't. It takes a lot of trial and error, but if it works out for you, then you can do wonders with what you're doing. And also, like I said, fortune favors the brave. You will start gravitating those eyeballs. You didn't ask MartialMind to react on your video, yet he did, because he gravitated towards that. So the things happen in mysterious ways. You just have to keep on grinding. You just have to keep on pushing yourself, open yourself to the opportunities. And I think when I listen to everything that you've mentioned, those are my key takeaways from this. So I'm really thankful to you for sharing all of your experiences in that light. Again, you will face a lot of criticism. It completely depends on the way you react to it. And another thing you've mentioned about having that the ability to mature yourself, having the ability to look past the criticism that comes your way. Perhaps there's an endless void that is out there. So just trying to avoid those situations altogether. So I really appreciate you highlighting those points. So finally, coming towards the end of the interview, I think there's one more question that I feel I need to ask you. And that is, there was a big argument between KeneticNRG and Prioxis recently on the fact that there are a lot of content creators out there. And for creators, there are two perspectives. One is do not cry if you don't have the resources or the effort. And the other one is keep on grinding no matter what. So where do you think you have to draw the line when it comes to understanding, well, whether you're going to make it or not, whether you think having the ability to grind is going to make it for everyone? Or do you think there has to be a point where you have to be realistic with yourself and say, this is not working out for me, maybe I'm better off applying myself somewhere else? So in your opinion, where do you draw the line?
For me, for starters, I'm no one. I'm no one in the sense of I'm not this, I'm not on no type of pedestal. I don't think no one in the community is. They don't have the right to tell someone, don't go chase their dream, don't do this. So I'm not gonna say, once you hit this amount of years, I think you should stop, because everybody grows at different paces.
Agreed.
Everybody gains subs at different paces. So I'm not gonna say that. But my whole thing with the kinetic thing, and this kind of, I'm not gonna say pissed me off, but it kind of like got under my skin, because this happened under my post, which is I hate this. Is crazy. Everything just comes back to me. I wasn't like, the post was just me celebrating 500 subs. It wasn't even one of the negative posts, so which is crazy. But when Kinetic say he didn't like keep grinding, I take keep grinding as a form of I won't say motivation. That's just a form of keep doing you. That's not a form of detailed not criticism, but detailed advice like I've gotten from King Juice, like I've gotten from Pressy, from Prioxis, from Cody Dank, from those guys. You don't do that in public. And the problem I had with Kinetic, no disrespect to the dude, but I didn't like when he did this, when he was bragging about all the advice he gave. With me and a lot of people I know in real life, and the people I hang with, and a lot of people can attest to this, what I'm about to say. If you do something out of the kindness of your heart, you're not gonna brag about it. And I felt like when he was bragging about it, that just let me know he didn't mean that out of the kindness of his heart. If you're going around saying I've given so much advice, I've given the most advice out of everyone in this thread, I'm like, hey, like, no, you don't do that. But I think I generally think, bro, the grind gets you. It doesn't get you. It motivates you. It gets you the tough skin. It gets you the mentality of no matter where I end up, no matter if I have 1 million subs, 10,000 subs, 100 subs, 10 subs, I'm gonna keep this pace up, because you can never get comfortable enough. And I know a lot of people like that. They can't get comfortable, enough. They can be some of the most successful people in the world. Look at Elon Musk, for example. Dude, he probably doesn't need to work anymore. If we're being completely honest, he doesn't need to work, but he's continuously running a successful car company, a successful business. He's still doing that, and he's not a young guy. He's still doing this. So the mentality of grinding and just wanting more, I think a lot of people can take from that. So when I hear someone say keep grinding, I take it as a form of stay up, keep doing what you're doing. do not get off of your grind. Don't get comfortable. That's what I take that as. I don't take that as a form of advice. I think Kinetic thought keep grinding was a form of advice as you need to do such and such, like a detailed advice. For instance, if I come to you and say, hey, I think you need to change your videos, do that, do this with your thumbnail, do that. I think he was taking it as that type of advice. And I don't think a lot of people took, I don't take it as that, but I think he was taking it as a form of detailed advice. And listen, I said this in a thread as well. Plenty of people have given me advice. Plenty of people. The people that I've named, all of them have given me very detailed advice, except Marshall, because the John Jones thing. We still working out the kinks in that. It's not animosity. It's a kind of he think he has the best, I have the best. But anyway, that's different. But everyone else, they giving me detailed advice, and they've never bragged about it. They've never said, when I hit 500 subs and I shout out to everybody who gave me advice, they didn't say, yeah, I gave that dude advice. That you did that because of me. They didn't say that. They just told me, keep doing your thing, keep doing that. I really didn't like what he was saying because it kind of like really rubbed me the wrong way, because Kinetic is a game changer. He's a game changer, well, a former game changer. People are gonna take that. So some people are gonna look at that and be like, damn, he's right. Some people are actually gonna think he's right, because he's at some form of hierarchy, which I explained again. That's the problem with the community. But some people are gonna look at that as a form of hierarchy, and I think some people shouldn't do that. You know what I mean? But everybody that I've talked about, I didn't mention any names for a reason, because I'm really like past that whole toxicity thing. But I wish all of those dudes that I had beef with nothing but success. You know what I mean? I don't hate any human on this earth. I don't hate anyone. I may dislike you. Don't get me wrong. Oh no, don't get it wrong. I dislike those dudes. I dislike them, but I don't hate them. I'm not gonna sit here and say I wish this on them. Nah, I wish nothing but success on with those dudes, because even though we dislike each other, we're all in the same community. Grinding for the same goal. Some of those dudes who were coming at me are actually content creators. So I wish them nothing but success with their channels. We're all grinding towards the same thing. We're all trying to get towards the same thing. You know what I mean? So that's my whole take on it. I'm sorry if it was like so long, but I think some of that stuff needed to be said. So I'm so sorry.
No, I think the reason why we started GameKheyl is to give that platform to everyone to have their opinions, because see, with opinions, you're going to see differences. But I think when a person sits down and explains their perspective on something, it really sheds the light on why they think a certain way. So perhaps they only see a statement or 140 characters on Twitter, but they do not see necessarily why that's being said. So it's very good to see you explaining the why of everything. And also maybe that's going to perhaps humanize the way you think for at least a few people who are going to watch this. And at the same time, I really like the final touch that you gave, that you wish nothing but success. And specifically when you talk about this community, it has been accused of having a great amount of toxicity amongst each other. And that's something we shed a lot of light on in our interview with Omni previously. So perhaps this is something that is the way ahead, because we've seen toxicity not really working out for anyone. We are still stagnating at a point where things have been for a very long time. And we don't necessarily see the grind from people in order to make things better. And while you were mentioning all of that, I remembered this specific quote from Tom Brady. And this is very funny because the reporter asked him, what's your favorite Super Bowl ring? And he said, the next one. So even though he has all the success in the world, there's no one who has been as successful as him, but he is still seeing the next big goal as something that is driving him forward. And that kind of relentlessness is something that I think this community desperately needs. And perhaps for some individuals to understand that it's not going to be an overnight success, there's no certain formula of success out there. I created a channel previously called Barely Average Gaming. I'm not even in the top 1,000 right now when it comes to UFC. I've beaten some of the best players in the world. I've beaten El Fabio when he was #1, Sick War, as you probably know him now. So I've had those successes. I've faced some of the best players, but for me, I understand that I'm not the best player. Perhaps it's the content that's going to work out for me. And because of that content, even though Barely Average Gaming may not have worked out, I started understanding my role in this. I started figuring out that I might be in a position where I can help other people get their name out, and created GameKheyl with that. So perhaps giving people the space in the room to explore and understand what they are capable of by themselves, instead of letting them know, and not even letting them have that experiential learning. That's very important. And for me, in my own personal case, I think that that example fits really well. And again, I believe we've went into a lot of detail on a lot of things, but that had to be spelled out, considering the fact that you are not shy of sharing your opinions, and the way you shared them with humility, that's very refreshing to see. And I really hope we get to do this again in one way or another, because this was one of the better experiences that I've had. This is my 16th interview or 17th interview, but again, I believe in terms of having perspectives, having an understanding, this was one of the best ones. This is something that I have to say on camera, on the record. So really appreciate that. So really appreciate having you here. Again, for everyone watching, Jay MMA puts in videos at a very rapid pace. If you want to give him some love, support him. Again, we have guys like MartialMind and Prioxis waiting for this dude. So if they're waiting for him, it really speaks a lot. And do check out his content. There's going to be some really fun, entertaining videos out there. You might learn a few things when it comes to the game. And also, like he mentioned, a shout out to ESBC Roundtable. There's a lot of interesting conversations happening there as well. So do give that a view. We're going to share all of the links in the description of this video. And also for everyone watching this video specifically, or if you're a supporter of GameKheyl, a lot of you still are not the subscribers of this channel. We have done really well in the last few weeks. We've gotten up to around 240 or 250 subscribers, which is crazy considering the fact that we've not been out for a very long time. But if you're watching, if you have 1,000 views on certain videos, if we keep on putting on content like this over and over, so your support is going to mean a world to us. We also have our Patreon up. We got ourselves a camera, like we mentioned. We are going to get ourselves a new setup. We are going to have esports events happening as well. We are going to have our mic setup, and hopefully merchandise in the coming months as well. So there's a lot of plans that we have out there, and only your support, and truly and only your support, is going to get us there. So again, I appreciate all the support that we've received so far, but here's to bigger and better things in the future. Sir, it was an absolute pleasure having you today. If you have any final words to say.
I'm gonna say this. I see a lot of guys, they're starting to get into the content creation in the community. I see a lot of guys they've been top level guys, and they're trying to get back into content creation and things like that. I'm letting you know right now. A lot of these guys in the community, they're gonna I'm a curse. They're gonna shit on you. They're gonna shit on you. That's how the community is. I'm sorry, that's how it is. Because it happened to me. When people were coming at me, from my channel and things like that, I'm not gonna lie, it made me mad. It really pissed me off, because when someone shits on what you work for so hard, it just gets under you. But I'm gonna tell you this, man. KeneticNRG, this is for you. Keep grinding. All right. I just want people to, keep grinding. I want people to, keep doing that thing, man. Listen, no matter if you have 10 subs, 100 subs, 20 subs, 50 subs, you're gonna get the recognition that you think you deserve. You just got to get your name out there by any means possible. And that's why I respect Crooks so much. Crooks, in his interview, he didn't have to shout me out. He didn't have to do that, but he did it because, he respects me. I respect him. He did that out of the kindness of his heart, but you got to get your name out there and somehow build up relationships, network. I network with Keyl. I've been watching Keyl's videos for a minute now, and I reached out to him. Sometimes it's not going to come to you. You have to take the initiative sometimes with things, for your channel to grow and things like that. But I just want people to know, man. A lot of people say I'm in this for the money. I've gotten those DMs and those Discord DMs. So I just want to address this. People say I do this for money, or I'm trying to be, the next Prioxis. I'm trying to be the next MartialMind. Like you said, I'm not trying to be any of those dudes. I'm trying to be the next Jay MMA. That's all I'm trying to do. If someone can come on my channel, if they can come on my channel, after having a hard day at work, or having a hard day at school, or just having a hard day in general, and they can come to my channel and almost escape from that and just laugh and be entertained, that's worth more than money to me. It really is. And I don't think some people understand. A lot of people don't understand that in this community. I don't make content, just to post it to say I'm a high level player. I post content to entertain. I post content so people can have fun. I think a lot of people should start taking that approach. Don't take the approach of I'm a high level player, so I'm gonna just post this because people like seeing high level things. You have to start thinking like I just named. I had this guy, shout to Austin. I never forget this. When I hit 400 subs, and if I cry, I'm sorry, because it really touched me. He said he has a bad case of anxiety. And he comes in my streams and like the anxiety, he doesn't get nervous or anything like that. He said, my streams, my videos help him. Y'all don't, bro. Y'all listen, stuff like that. That's what I do this for. That's what you should be doing it for. Don't do it for the money. I need to get 4,000 watch hours so I can get monetized. I need to get 1,000 subs. Don't do it for that. Do it for things like that. I promise you're gonna grow. I promise you are. If you're in it, if you're not in it for the money, if you're just in it for the humility, you're in it to entertain people, I promise you're gonna grow. I'm a God-fearing man. I have God in my life. So with all things, anything is possible. But I just want to leave people off with that. I'm planning on, I'm gonna be honest with you, before Thanksgiving, I'm probably gonna be at 1,000 subs, if I'm being quite honest with you. Maybe even before that, the way the channel is going. But I just want to appreciate KeneticNRG for giving me this opportunity. Like, honestly, he didn't have to give me this opportunity, and he did. I appreciate him. I appreciate, everybody that's been supporting me. I appreciate the haters. Listen, if you don't have haters, you ain't doing something right. I'm gonna leave y'all off with this quote from Cat Williams. I'm trying not to laugh because the context of it is pretty funny. But he said, if you have 35 haters, next month try to get to 40. And I was like, at first I didn't know what it meant. But now that I'm doing this YouTube thing, I kind of agree with what he's saying. I get that to the full extent now. So I'm just leave y'all off with that, man. Appreciate it.
Sir, the pleasure was absolutely ours. Like I mentioned, all the links will be in the description today. A lot of great conversations, a lot of great sound bites coming out of this. So I think we're going to have an absolute blast when it comes to clipping some of these things out. We are going to roll with the punches. There's a lot of things that we have in store, like I mentioned earlier. And we are going to keep on consistently putting on content for you guys and hopefully something for you guys to enjoy. And hopefully also, like I mentioned, we are coming up with game gupshup, the entire concept of having a gameplay while having conversations. So that's going to be up as well. And hopefully there are a few more surprises that we have in store for us. So stay tuned with us. Give some love to Jay MMA, the entire community. Please don't be toxic to one another. And for everyone watching this is Naveed and Jay signing off and hope to see you guys again real soon. Peace.